I'd like to take a moment and thank today's sponsor, Haggard Pharmacy. If your horse is struggling from ulcers from time to time, they've got some good news for you. Reline GI by Haggard has a new and improved formula, and scientific studies show that it definitely improves gut health. So what's new about Reline GI? It's made with a new beta-glucan that stimulates the immune system to work on targeted areas of horse's stomach. Plus, there's also a new price that can save you nearly $100 a gallon. Visit resolveit.com, resolvet.com, to learn more about the new Reline GI. A link will be in the description of this video. Today's episode is also sponsored by Farm Vet. Whether you're a trainer, consignor, owner, farm, or racing manager, cutting operating expenses is always a continued priority. Farm Vet prides itself in keeping prices as low and matching competitive pricing on hundreds of supplements, bond supplies, prescription medications, and compounds. If you're buying vet wrap, shampoo, Panicure, and many other products, Farm Vet is where you need to shop. The one-stop shop with great pricing, fast fulfillment from multiple locations, free shipping, and helpful customer service. With the recent acquisition of HorseSense in Lexington, Farm Vet has expanded its thoroughbred-focused inventory and is now delivering to Keeneland and locally in Kentucky. In addition to their already popular South Florida delivery service, make sure your equine operation is buying smart. Farm Vet. A link will be in the description below. Frank Taylor, let's talk about you a little bit for the start.
Yeah, the number one consigner in the world.
Well, thank you guys for letting me be on here. It's a privilege.
I love it.
Starting off, the great success we've had together. Y'all been great customers and great friends. And, I remember still to this day, the best pin hook ever out of TaylorMade is with you guys.
Yeah.
What was it, 300,000?
425,000, because it was scary.
425 to what?
Yeah, exactly.
I'll never forget that
bid
number.
one more time.
Yeah. So here we are today on a beautiful Sunday afternoon at Ocala Breeder Sales Company at the 2-year-old sale, where I think champions are born. And this is where it all starts for next year's good champions, thoroughbred industry. And today we have with us Frank Taylor. He may not be the founder of TaylorMade, but he is definitely an executor of TaylorMade. His dad and family all together have built an amazing company that's done crazy things in the industry. So, Frank Taylor, let's talk about you a little bit for the start.
Yeah, the number one consigner in the world.
Well, thank you guys for letting me be on here. It's a privilege.
I love it.
Starting off, the great success we've had together. Y'all been great customers and great friends. And, I remember still to this day, the best pin hook ever out of TaylorMade is with you guys.
Yeah.
What was it, 300,000?
425,000, because it was scary.
425 to what?
Yeah, exactly.
I'll never forget that
said,
number.
bid one more time.
Yeah.
I think that might be the biggest pin hook ever, right?
It is. It's history. $16 million later. But I'll tell you, we were sitting when we love the horse. We bid on the horse to where we thought we can go, and we stopped. Randy and I are talking to Sam Shepard. Remember Sam?
Oh yeah.
And we're talking with Sam, and all of a sudden it was all done, asking 425, and I bid. Randy said, "What did you just do?" I said, "I bought us a horse." I did the we thing.
Yeah. You use the same method I do. Ask for forgiveness, not permission.
That's exactly what we
You
did.
get a lot more done that way.
Well, everybody thought that Sam Shepard bought it, so all the press came on over, because I think he was the sale topper, wasn't he?
I think he was, yeah.
And he's like, "Not me, it's them." So we got in the plane on the way home, and our little plane that we had at that point, Randy would get in the back. I have to close the door.
Yeah, it was like Fred Flintstone. I had to pedal us down the hallway.
So I opened the back door again and looked at him. I said, did I pay too much for that colt? He said, hell no. Let's go.
He was right.
And he was right, and we headed out. So thanks to you, it was a big plus in our career too. Besides the money, it was, you know, bringing something forward to the sale that never had before. A horse with that kind of ability and stuff, and you know, buy your stallion.
The Forestry was he was a great horse and did a lot of good for us, but there's a great backstory on that. So when TaylorMade started, I was 13 and my oldest brother was 19, and I had Mark was, gosh, I'm not even
in diapers.
Yeah, in diapers, and Ben was a little older than me. So we started it. Actually, Mike Shannon and Duncan started it, and we all worked there basically as indentured servants until until we got out of high school, and then it wasn't worth much. So we bought in after a couple years working for real cheap. But so back in that time, I think back, there was a huge break we had. Aaron Jones and Marie Jones, who were like the who's who in owning and buying horses back in those days. I went up to him. I was just 17, and I said, you know, Mr. Jones, I'm Frank Taylor at TaylorMade, and I said I'd love to board some horses for you someday. And he was real nice to me, but nothing ever happened. And so a year later, me and my brothers, my dad had us work, and we were raising cattle and tobacco and hay, and we had nurse mares, and then we were starting to board a couple mares. And my dad never owned any part of TaylorMade, but he mentored us and taught us. And so we were actually out in the tobacco field with a hoe, and my sister comes out and said Aaron Jones just called you, and I was like, what? I threw that hoe down. I don't look fast, but I was smoking it over there to the trailer house, and I called him back, and I go, he goes, Mr. Jones, I'm Frank Taylor. He said, yeah, you remember me? I said, yes, sir, Mr. Jones, I know who you are. He goes, well, you said last year you wanted to board some horses, and he said, you got plenty of room? I said, yes, sir, I got all kinds of room. And I didn't have any room. I had one barn I had up there was full of tobacco and cows and a couple mares on one end.
Empty that out.
And so he said, well, good, I want you to pick up 40 head in the morning.
Whoa. Wow.
And I was like, whoa. So we didn't even have an employee at the time. So I got so many cousins, you can't even count them.
Gathered up
They're
all the family.
Farmers. We gathered them, we called them all. And there was a farm which we own now that was close to us, and it belonged to a guy named Floyd Cox, and I called Floyd. It had 40 stalls on it.
Wow.
It was 200 acres. It's called Eagle Creek now. It's one of our divisions. And so I rented it that night, and we've got a bunch of buckets and tubs and straw and hay, and bedded all them stalls down, and we just had it wasn't just 40 horses. It was like 40 of the who's who. It was like Belle Marie, the damn Lemhi Gold, and Cajun
really?
Prince.
Wow.
That mare had 2 Grade 1 winners and 1 weekend.
Wow.
On the mare called Sally Stark was on there. She had a foal by her side by Bowl Forbes, who won the Oaks, Tiffany Lass. It was just like the who's who.
Yeah.
And so that really put us on the map. And we've been doing business with them for 40-some years. Unfortunately, Mr. Jones passed away about 10 years ago or so, but Marie, she's been supportive of us, and she's actually going to sell out this fall, but it's been a great run, and they really put TaylorMade on the map. And so kind of tie it all in, like talking about forestry and all your all's luck there. So this is a great story behind this, because Mr. Jones had some kind of cancer that nobody had ever survived, and they were wanting to cut his leg off, and he wouldn't do that, and they did this radical treatment on him, and he went out into the woods and just hiked and got away from everything. He was a big outdoorsman, and came back and went to the doctor, and it went away. He was cured. And it was right during the Keeneland July sale when they had that. So he calls me at the sale, and I'm out there showing these horses, and I got some good ones. And he goes, Frank, I just got back from the doctor, and he said I'm cured. I said I'm totally healed.
Wow.
He goes, I want to buy the best horse in the sale. And of course, I said, well, I got the best horse in the sale. I got the best horse in the sale. And he goes, he said, and Las Barrera, who had been key to Mr. Jones' success, had passed away in the meantime of a heart attack. So he obviously, Mr. Jones needed a new trainer. So I said, he raced in California, and he said, who should we get to train him? I said, well, I've only met him one time, but I said, I think this Bob Baffert looks like he's got a lot of talent. And I said, I think we ought to try him. He said, well, can you have Baffert call me? So I go, Mr. Jones, I can see him, he's 100 yards away. I said, let me just walk up and I'll give him the phone. So literally, I walk up to Baffert, and I go, I got Aaron Jones on the phone. He wants to buy the best horse in the sale. I didn't tell him which horse was the best. And I said, he wants you to train it. Do you want to talk to him? Now, at this point, I don't think Bob had ever spent over $150 on a horse, right? So he says, so I hand him Aaron, and they have a good talk. And I go back and start showing horses because we're slammed. And Baffert comes back in about 20 minutes and said, man, thanks so much. That was great. So I knew they were on because the vet that vetted for Mr. Jones came by and vetted the horse, and I kind of stepped back at that point.
Yeah.
And so anyway, the night comes to the sale, and so he goes in there. Mr. Jones is not in town. Baffert's out back in the back, and I go in and sit down with Shell Evans, who's selling the colt, and we just happen to sit right behind Bob Lewis and D. Wayne Lucas. And so the bidding starts, and I got him reserved at like 600, and it's just boom, boom, boom. It's 700, Mr. Lewis in the back, 8, 9. It's bing back and forth up to $1 million.
Right.
Then it's ding dongs back and forth, and it's on $1.4 million to Mr. Lewis. And the hammer is coming down. I mean, I think it's done, and all of a sudden a bid for $1.5 million in the back, which I know it's got to be. It's got to be Mr. Jones. And so they knock it down, and they never say this, but they said from the podium, they said, congratulations, Bob Baffert, right? And Lucas turned over and looked at Mr. Lewis. He said, he didn't buy that for you, did he? And he said, no, I told him he couldn't. Well, what I didn't know is when, Lucas had won the Derby for Mr. Lewis, and Baffert had.
With our horse.
Yeah.
So
with your horse. There you go. So it's a tight story here.
Yeah.
So what I didn't realize is both of those had gone to the sale looking at horses.
Right.
And so Baffert had put the horse I picked, and Lucas had put the horse I picked as their number one pick. And so when Baffert went to Mr. Lewis, he said, this is my horse. He said, I got to give it to Wayne. He's already turned my list in. And so just to think about that call and all that in. And then the horse wins, breaks track record in Saratoga, and he was the highest priced yearling in the world that year at $1.5 million.
Right.
And we counted up the time he bred all the seasons and collected all the money. Mr. Jones made over $75 million off that horse.
Really?
Well, add to that story. Randy and he was outpicked for the sale, and he was a May foal. Am I correct?
I remember May foal. Yeah.
And he was outpicked for the sale, and I was standing talking to Elliot Walden, and Bob comes walking by and said, "Man, my crew hasn't. Everything I look at isn't the horse. They tell me this horse, and I didn't find nothing today." I said, "Well, you missed one," and I showed him that horse, who turns out to be Forestry. And he said, went and looked at him and come back. He said, he's kind of small. I said, he's a May foal. I said, how about that to go along with that?
Yeah.
And then they go and buy that horse in his Forestry. But he was actually our number one pick for the sale.
Yeah.
And that's
the
add
you didn't
to
make
that
the
story.
money the first time, but you made it
the
the
second time.
Yeah.
Oh no, but that's fun, And we all, this industry interacts so much, and there's so much great that can go on with it. I mean, one of the reasons we do our podcast is because we want to bring all this great positive stuff to our viewers and listeners, because they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
They don't, they're not in the industry to know. Of course, there's always a little bit of bad publicity here and there, and they can grab on that because that's out in the public and on television and things like that, and we don't get that chance. So our podcasts are formed just to bring out some of the great stuff that's done. So I want to talk about something that you're doing, and it's called Stable Recovery. And Randy and I know we know a little bit about it. But you know a lot about it
Yeah.
because you formed it, and it's I think it's fantastic, and I want you to tell the viewers on what really goes on here in this industry, how tight knit this whole family is.
You know, the horse business is the people in the horse business really care about each other, and they look out for each other, and we all compete against each other, but we're all in it together. We're doing
100%.
something that's, this is not a business, this is a lifestyle.
It's a passion.
It's a passion.
Right.
It's this. If you just wanted to make money, there's probably lots of other businesses you could go to that would be safer and more predictable and this and that. I don't think you're going to find one that's going to be more fun.
Nope.
But you can find more predictable. And so, you know, me and my brothers have been blessed. We started out with a pickup truck and a pitchfork 40-some years ago. We didn't have two dimes to rub together, and we just worked hard and stayed honest and learned as we went.
Yeah,
and
we know that.
We've been totally blessed. You know, we were just my dad was a big farm manager in town, but he didn't have much wealth, and all he taught us was a work ethic and horsemanship.
Yeah.
And
it's all you needed.
Yeah.
That's all you really needed there, and that's similar to our story, and so I want you to continue on with that because.
So my dad, he was Joe Taylor. He was a special guy. He was a man's man, and he loved horses, and he was a workaholic. But the good thing about him is he took all his kids to work with him.
Mm-hmm.
So he basically made us a bunch of workaholics. But it wasn't like a lot of workaholic fathers that don't spend any time with their kids.
Mm-hmm.
He spent more time with us than
most.
More than most. And one time somebody asked my dad, said, because he had 8 kids, he said, "Joe, how'd you afford all them kids?" He said, "I made money out of every one of them." and he did.
That's good.
But yeah, he didn't give us anything. He wouldn't pay us really. He'd more or less make a partner. Like if we had a tobacco crop or a cattle crop or hay or whatever, we just kind of learned as we went. And he always told us, he said, you know, be honest and live out your faith and do the right thing all the time, and things will come your way. And you know, he died, I think he was close to 80 in a car wreck. And you know, people are like at that age, a lot of their friends have died, and you get to a funeral and there may not be a lot of people there, but there was it was amazing event, because there was like 1,200 people there. Wow. Standing room only.
Show their respect.
Show his respects. He had helped so many people. They counted up all the farm managers in Kentucky at that time, and over 75% of them he either trained or somebody he trained
them.
Yeah. And
he was just a big time teacher. And the way he taught is he would throw you in way over your head in the deep end, and then he would just fish you out when you're about down.
And learn to swim.
And learn to swim. And but he was always giving back, and he was always trying to help somebody that was down and out. And me and my brothers have kind of tried to emulate that. So we have. You know, we've been blessed and got a lot out of this business, and it's we're in a position now where we can give back and do more for other people. You know, we've sold billions of dollars worth of horses. We've had tons of Breeders' Cup winners and Derby winners and this and that, but nothing excites me anymore like having somebody come into this program, get sober, be sober, get a good job, reunite with their family, and then their father or mother come up and give you a hug and say, "Thank you, you saved my son's life."
That's got to be the best feeling in the whole world.
It's,
and so, just remember, our viewers don't know what stable recovery means. So,
well,
how does it start? What does it start? What do we do?
It started by me drinking too much for 50 years. I'm a slow learner, but yeah, I was a heavy drinker. That was my identity. When I was in high school, every party, we had a barn set up at TaylorMade. It's called the Party Barn, right? And
Everybody at the barn.
Yeah. And so I kind of lived that lifestyle for a long, long time, and had a lot of fun doing it. But it caught up with me over time. I was blessed because I didn't really experience the bad, as much of the bad stuff that it can. Sometimes it takes everything from somebody and takes their life.
Yeah, a big tragedy.
Yeah. I had several friends along the way that died from it, and we're Catholic, so every Lent I would say I'm quitting. I'm quitting drinking for the month. And then I would last a week, and then I'd be back. But then I had somebody very, very close to me that I influenced a lot that became an alcoholic, and that really, really hurt me a lot. And it's like God working his plan. He from that point when that happened, I said I'm quitting drinking, and I haven't had a drink since. I've been almost 4 years. And I thought, boy, when I quit, first of all, funding this thing's expensive, but I could have funded it forever if I had just bet everybody I knew that I would quit drinking for 4 years.
Yeah, right. You'd have made all the money.
I could have banked billions, because nobody ever saw that coming. But I thought when I quit, I said, I'll never have any more fun again. That's my style. But I've had more fun and enjoy life way better.
Oh yeah.
And so even before I quit, I was thinking about this idea, because there's a real good restaurant in Lexington called Deviate, like deviate from your old life.
Right.
And Rob Perez and his wife own and run that, and they're both in recovery. And so they work people only that are in recovery there. And I used to go in there and eat lunch, and I said, man, this food is unbelievable, and this service is great, and then I started learning about it.
Yeah.
And so I went to Rob, and I said, hey, do you think it's work in the horse business? And he goes, yeah, I think it'd work even better in the horse business, because you got the horse, which is very therapeutic, plus you're outside working hard. He said, I think it would be unbelievable in the horse business. And so he strongly encouraged me to do it. And he said, basically, from a entrepreneur business standpoint, that if you're hiring people in the level of cooks or servers, then you're hiring in a segment of society that is highly affected by addictions all through society, but it's highly affected in that group. And same way with us, with grooms and hot walkers and barn foremans, riders, whatever. So he said, what you're doing is you got to make, as a business guy, you got to decide, are you hiring from the treated group or the untreated group? And nobody ever thinks that way, right?
No.
You think like, it's a felon, and they've got drugs and the addict and all that stuff, and they got all this thing that society wants to throw them away.
Right.
But there's so much
sweep
that,
under the carpet.
Sweep it under the carpet or whatever. But what he says is, when you bring these guys out of the fire and you save their life, and you get them sober, and you get them a meaningful job, and you get them reunited with their family, and they start having when they come in there, they hate themselves. They've disappointed their mom, their dad, their brothers and sisters, their wives, their kids, and so they just are.
They hate life.
And really, the lower they are, the better off it is, because when they get there,
because they've hit bottom,
and they've hit the bottom, and they got to be willing. If they're willing, that it'll work. And so when they come to us, they don't have to pay a dime, and the only time they have to start paying is once they start making money. Then it's $100 a week rent for housing, food, utilities, transportation, so they can save and make a little bit of money, and while they're learning the skill. And we formed what we call the School of Horsemanship at TaylorMade. So there's two separate entities. The School of Horsemanship teaches them the horsemanship. Stable Recovery provides the sobriety, the help, the structure, the therapy, all that. So it's a blend.
So you have the therapist, you have.
We're at this point right now. We're contracting that out as a group. But
Right.
we're raising money to bring our own therapists inside.
Right.
And I just tell you, it's amazing how this is working, because the strike rate for the average person going into recovery is 15% make it to 90 days sober.
Really?
On average. Our numbers are more like 85% make
Wow.
it to 90 days.
Wow. Because they may have a passion for these horses that they never knew they had.
Yeah.
So you're giving them that to lean on.
Yeah.
And this is fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, and every family and the viewers and listeners right now know that it's happened in their family somewhere.
Yeah.
Whether it's a cousin or a child or something, all throughout the whole world. Everybody thinks maybe they're alone and they don't want to talk about it, but it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
And those people are going to help people.
Well, it's like it's really blown my mind how easy it is to get people to give, and how much people want to support, because it's like when you call somebody up or you show them, like I get them out to the farm. I've had in the last year, I've invited 100 people, different people just out there to see what we do. But when you're sitting down and like we're selling this program and doing that, it's like, it's amazing. Just about 90% of them will say, I got a son that I lost to an OD. I lost a cousin. I lost my brothers.
The whole world.
So it's a huge epidemic we're in. It's a worldwide epidemic. It's a huge epidemic, and that's addiction. The other big problem is we have lack of workers. Now, the beautiful thing is these two major problems can actually help each other.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And if what we're finding is that bringing them out of addiction and giving them responsibility and giving them work skills, and then shifting them over to profit for people that are successful in life, they're enjoying life, they're contributing to society, they're becoming fathers again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing. Like in the state of Kentucky, the numbers say that to treat an opioid addicted person, it costs $139,000 per person to incarcerate or to rehabilitate.
Wow.
And so we can put somebody through our program for $12,000, and in the first year they're working at the level they'll be working, they'll pay $7,000 in taxes.
Really?
So, that's not the reason to do it, but that's a huge thing for society.
Right.
And so I think this thing is going to be big. Like I was talking to our governor on the way down here, and we were blessed. We received a Cooper Award, which is faith in action. That they pick
The state.
They pick in Kentucky. They pick a business that is living their faith through their business.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got that award. That's why I'm going back to get that Tuesday. But I was just talking to him about
That's
that
impressive.
and
Yeah.
how we could do things. And so opioid addiction, that's alcoholism is just as bad. But the opioid addiction is big pharma, the Sackler family, Purdue,
Really?
all that they had to pay billions in retribution to all the stuff that they caused. And so Kentucky got $850 million because it was the third hardest hit state.
Yep.
And so we were struggling like earlier in the year where we were down to 6 weeks of operating expense, and then we got a grant for $300 there, and we got some other people pitched in. So we've been
Back
rolling
up.
right along and going good. But
Well, we've got to keep this going.
yeah.
And there's got to be suggestions from a lot of areas that come in to keep it going. I mean, I made one to you. Well, maybe I didn't make it to Frank. Did I? Who did I make that to?
OBS.
A suggestion. Oh, yeah. And I thought that every time a horse walks through the ring and sells, that we ought to be able to check a box and be able to give X amount of dollars, or maybe something, whatever you feel like you want to give to this cause, because it's important.
Yeah.
Because it's that important that we all should be part of it in some way or another. You know, if you only have $10 in your pocket, maybe 25 cents would work.
Yeah.
You know, to go towards it on that. So it was just a suggestion that I had come up with, to think that maybe every horse that walks through, and it's thousands. Thousands of horses walk through the ring, and we are all blessed. We're blessed to be in this business, and blessed in a lot of ways, health ways and wealth ways and things like that we all can help out in some way or another. We'd like to take a quick break from this episode and acknowledge some of our incredible sponsors. We want to express our deepest gratitude to OBS Sales, More Play Racing, Spurs Chop House, Brookledge Horse Transport, the Green Group Consultants, Advanced Equine Nutrition, Performance Equine Veterinary Care, Equine Innovative Performance Center, Essentra Insurance, and Mid-Florida Credit Union. Their commitment to excellence inspires us every day. Thank you for being the driving force behind this episode of the Leading the Way podcast. For more information on each sponsor, please check out our links in the description of this video.
More Play Racing, a rising force in the world of horse racing, born from passion, forged with precision and relentlessness. More Play Racing sets the pace in the pursuit of victory. More Play Racing isn't just joining the race, we're reshaping it, fueled by the collective strength of our dedicated team. Our commitment to excellence is grounded in our training, strategy, and determination, all with an unmatched frequency. Follow us on our journey at moreplayracing.com.
Like that. So we're going to, whatever we can do, we're going to try and help.
Well, I appreciate it. I think that's a good idea.
And I think everybody else should try to help as well.
And how do they find out how to get to your program? Or
you can go to.
Did they have to buy a horse?
Yeah, you got to buy a horse. You can go to stablerecovery.com and they've got everything.
Everything that you need
if you need to give.
You want to help? Okay, good.
But it's it's doing a lot of good. You know, I have one story. As this started as like a dream, and then it's come to fruition. I remember the first day I went in, I told my brothers, I said, you know, I want to bring in a bunch of heroin addicts, alcoholics.
Yeah, that
felons,
went over like a lead balloon.
And felons, you know, and I got this great idea, bro.
That's funny.
And it didn't. It wasn't an easy sell right off. But I got him. I said, you know, okay, I know you got concerns. I got concerns too. But I said, let's just try it for 90 days. I said, if anything goes wrong, I'll pull the plug immediately. So we're like almost 4 years in now, and you know, I have a hiccup here and there, but
of course,
the positives so much
greater
outweighs the negative.
I know you'll get it to work because the way
that's your personality.
And the way you and your family have built TaylorMade Sales Agency and TaylorMade Farm and Stallions, building block after building block, slowly moved up to, and I'm going to say this and probably embarrass you, but we walked through the sales for 30 some odd years, and every time we walk through the sales, I say, that's the best operation I've ever seen being that big. And I say it every year. And I don't know who I say it to. I may say it to myself or say it to Randy. He already knows it. But, you know, when I go in, I'm so impressed. Because they know everything that's going on. They greet you like you're home in Grandma's house. You know, nothing goes wrong, really, in front of the scenes anyway. You know what I mean? I'm sure things are tough to run. But my hat's off to you and your family for building such an amazing, strong company. So I know that with those work ethics, you'll build this into something bigger. And in another 100 years, when you're not here, your kids will be doing it. And that's what's the great. You're planting the seed all the way through. I mean, we watch that all the time where you, your brothers, all the children are involved in it.
Katie, I mean, you got to be so proud of your. They're just really stepping up to the.
It's pretty cool.
You know, my dad always told us, he said, you can do more if you stick together than apart.
I agree.
And look out for each other. And it's tough for family business. Statistics are really against you to carry it from one generation to the next and the next. But I think that we see no jealousy between them. They all love each other. They're all looking out for each other.
Yeah.
And just pray every day that continues, and I think it will.
Yeah, I'm sure it will.
And I noticed one thing during this podcast that you've never said you were lucky. You've always said you're blessed.
Yeah.
And we do the same thing too on that, and I love that because I'm not sure there's anything called really luck is nothing to believe in, but blessings are. On that.
Oh, since this stable recovery thing started, it just blows my mind. I can see every day miracles. Just things happen. You say, wow. When.
Don't you want everybody else to experience that?
Yeah.
Well, it took me so long to really embrace that and see things through the eyes of faith.
Yeah.
It's to me, life's so much better when you have faith.
Yeah,
And,
it is.
and,
There's no two ways about it.
Otherwise, you have nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, all the money in the world and all of the high status, the celebrity status, or all that,
that all
means
goes
nothing.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It means nothing without the faith.
Yeah.
And so I know that this program is going to go the right way, for sure. And when you do good to one, you get it back tenfold.
Yeah.
So a lot of your blessings are coming because of how you've blessed.
Well,
others,
I always joke. I said we were all born under a lot of pressure because our mom and dad are named Mary and Joseph.
I'd say.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's good. On that, well, we're all under a lot of pressure in this business too, because it's a high pressure business.
Yeah, it is.
For sure, trying to keep everybody happy and every knot tied, and no loose ends everywhere. And it comes together. And the harder we work, I'll say the luckier we get.
Yeah.
But the more blessings that come there. We always shop your sales agency because we know we will find what we're looking for there, because you guys have such an amazing eye. So maybe some of these graduates of the program will be able to gain an eye, and maybe there's one in there that is better at it than what we all are.
Yeah, exactly.
And they'll bring more to the horse industry as well, or to other industries. They may, we had a little something. Remember our, we tried to take care of people that foster kids that get aged out of the program. After 18, they're aged out.
Yeah.
So we gave scholarships, but they weren't scholastic scholarships. If they wanted to be a welder or a truck driver, if they were willing and came and wrote to us, we gave them up to $3,000. And one time, a kid wrote to us, and he wanted bus fare to go to the University of Pennsylvania because he was going to try out for a scholarship on the basketball team. And he made it.
Wow.
And he graduated an Ivy League school because of that bus fare.
Wow.
A foster kid. And if we only did one, it worked, right?
Yeah.
On that. So ours was much smaller, but there's all kinds of things in this world that can use a little bit of help, and that was one of them.
So, I got an email from my brother this morning, and we had one of our biggest customers, Joel Politi, there at the farm today, and we really try to think. People come see their horses at the farm. We want to make them feel special, make them feel at home.
Yeah.
And there's two guys on our team that started out addicted with nothing, and in 3 years they are now divisional managers at TaylorMade.
Wow.
And my brother Mark was saying, it's Josh Franks and Mike Lowry, he said these guys were all over it. Everything was spotless. They were out there representing us well. And these are guys that people had thrown away.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They had,
That puts a smile on your face, right?
Yeah. When you see that, and I'm gonna develop. I'm not just I don't want to just develop a bunch of grooms or a bunch of. I want to try to develop people that can move upward. Now everybody has blessed,
their limits.
Everybody's blessed with certain things, and maybe they're limited how far they can go. But whatever God made them. We want to maximize
Yeah.
that and grow them and help them.
No, I think it's amazing.
You know, I'm like my wife says, whenever I get into anything and I start doing it, she says I do it like I'm killing snakes. You know, it's like I'm all in and all out. You know.
By the way, she's pretty special.
Yeah, well,
You're a
I was
pretty
gonna
lucky
mention
guy.
your wife. You're so lucky.
Yeah.
She's a lovely, lovely lady.
She's the best. Nobody's ever told her how lucky she is to be married to me.
Yeah, I think
I've
you're
heard
the
the
lucky
I
other-
may
one.
do that one day.
Even Rich last weekend, he says Frank's wife is the nicest lady
He
I've
did.
ever met.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she's a special woman, and
Oh,
she should be.
I would have been dead or in jail
Yeah.
if I hadn't met her when I did. She's the best. She's
Well,
a great
God-
mom, and
Yeah.
she's a worker too.
God gave her to you,
Yeah.
you know. and
Yeah, I was on a
that's-
bad path till she showed up.
But it's you know, but about our industry and like I said, Randy and I are trying to bring across all this positive stuff that comes out in this industry, and it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it's huge,
Yeah.
and it's worldwide.
Mhm.
And why is us two little guys bringing out this? Why isn't everybody doing this?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, we're not doing this podcast. We don't make any money at it or do anything other than to say to people that look around you here. There's how many horses in the sale?
800.
800 horses in the sale.
Yep.
There's some people, they want to sleep in the stalls with them.
Oh yeah.
They're taking care of these horses with kick gloves every day, making sure they don't get hurt, making sure that they get the right feed. And maybe they go without feed themselves to feed their horses. And it happens in Kentucky. It's weanlings and yearlings and mares. I'm sure you see them all the time when they drive up to your breeding shed, you know, and they have the last drop of gas in their vehicle on that because they're taking care of their horses. Everybody needs to know that, you know.
Yeah, it's. I tell you what, I don't believe in reincarnation, but if I did, I'd want to come back as a racehorse.
I
You
say
know,
that all the time. I say that all the time,
Yeah.
too.
Probably a stallion if they're TaylorMade.
Exactly.
Yeah. I say I
cool.
want to be a Hartley Derenzo horse because I know what we do to them. We got 12 horses here and 15 people,
Yeah.
you know, taking care of them.
40 bags of shavings every day.
Yeah. In every stall. Just
No,
about.
but people, it's just not portrayed properly in the media. People
It's not.
love these horses.
Yes,
and,
yes.
and they want the best for them. These horses get the very best care, and you know, they want to spotlight a horse is breaking down this and that, but our numbers have been declining. We're getting better.
it's-
We're working
and it's
at
so
it.
slight as it is.
Yeah.
You know?
And you know what? If I'd say if all these horses are out running in the wild, they probably break more legs out
Oh,
there
I'm
than
sure.
they would
No
be in
two ways
training.
about it.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just part of being you know, it's just Mother Nature,
Yeah.
and you're not gonna. She's undefeated, Mother Nature. But all we can do is do the very best we can, and that's what
I
we're
agree.
doing for these horses, the very best we can all the time.
And,
I think
we're on the right track.
we're in the right track.
Yeah, there's no two ways about it. And talk about the excitement of owning one. If you've never owned a racehorse before, and to have a horse go in the saddle and paddock, and have all your friends and your family there, and you're all having a great time. If that horse finishes first or last, you've already had the great time.
Yeah.
You know, you can't take it away. It's a community, and you've owned a lot of great racehorses in your life, and we've been fortunate enough to have some ourselves. And the excitement, the fun, the nerves, the good nerves.
Yeah.
You know, Wayne Lucas said, and we had a podcast with Wayne, and he said that his man, Mr. Klein, always wanted to win the Super Bowl. He just wanted to win the Super Bowl. He owned the Chargers, and when he won the Kentucky Derby, he said, Wayne, I no longer have to win the Super Bowl. Not the Super Bowl. It was Super Bowl, right. He goes, I no longer have to win the Super Bowl. I've just won the Super Bowl. And he said his whole deal changed completely about the most exciting day of his life. He won the Kentucky Derby with a filly. It was winning colors, wasn't it? Yeah, that he won the Kentucky Derby with. And I don't think that people know that either.
Yeah.
How much fun this is too. you
Well,
know?
me and my brothers, we've always sell the dream. You
Yeah.
know, we're not
Yep.
We do
financially
too.
available. We're not financially
too.
well enough to always own the dream.
Well,
right?
that's
So, but we got to own the dream one
Yeah,
year
yeah.
with, well, a few times we've owned some good, but we got to buy into California Chrome. We bought
no.
half of him after he'd won the Derby and all that, and we bought him just for a stallion to come back, and he'd never had a day off in his life since he started his career, and he got there, and his legs looked tight and looked good, but he was just tired, you know. He needed a vacation. And so me and the brothers talked it over, said, well, heck, let's, you know, he could stand for like 15,000, we thought at the time. So let's maybe let's try to fix him up, give him some time off, give him, you know, rehab, and let him enjoy. So anyway,
stable recovery.
But he gained like 190 pounds in 90 days, and he looked like a beast. And so I remember we were trying to decide who we were going to send him back to, but we didn't really know Art and Alan Sherman at the time, but they had already won the Derby and this and that. And we just said, hey, wouldn't be right not to send it back to them. So we sent it back to Art and Alan, and they did a great job, and we got him back in training. And I remember I flew out there with him, and I was in the back of the van. I didn't know how much people loved this horse in California and all over the world, but I was in the van, and I was riding out to Los Al, and I started looking out the windows about it must have been a quarter of a mile from the thing, and people on both sides of the road with chrome signs all up there.
Really?
Then I pull in there, and the marquee has got Chrome, Welcome Home Chrome on there. And I'm looking at him, and he's got some straw blown up on his mane and on his back. And so I get in my duffel bag, and I get my sock out, and I got the sock, and I'm putting him in. I get the straw out of his mane and tail.
You got to look good for you get out to see your fans.
And I got his halters all wrapped up in white, you know, and I get this lip chain on him because he was ready to explode. And I let him off there, and there was like 500 people.
Wow.
And he had his, neck bowed, tail up over his back, and Art and Alan were like, holy.
He's
they could not believe it.
And you know, that horse knew that. When he saw all those people, he knew they were fans.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and that just made him bow up more.
But we had the ride of our life. We won $8 million with him that year.
Nice.
We'd paid for him, and stud fee started at 40 rather than 15.
Yeah.
We got to win.
Another blessing.
We're talking about blessing. And then we won the Dubai World Cup, $10 million race.
Oh my gosh.
Won the Pacific Classic.
Yeah.
And then doggone Arrogate showed up, which is a horse that was conceived in our breeding shed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
He got us, but that was so much fun.
Yeah. You know, we always feel the same way, as we've always been the one to sell all these great horses that we've had, and Derby horses and so forth, and never owned a hair on their back when they ran. But we jumped up and down just as much, and we felt proud, and we walked out that it was our horse, even though
we owned him at one time.
And we have one this year ourselves with Rich Mendez, and we've
buy your stallion. Not this time.
This time, but it's our time. That's what I say. It's our time now. His name is No More Time, and Rich and Randy and I become a family, and we are enjoying it like unbelievable. And yesterday we got beat a half an inch or an inch or whatever it was, and we thought we won. And Rich said, we did it, and he had tears in his eyes. And it was the greatest feeling, because then I had tears in my eyes, you know. And so even though he finished second, we won. Yeah. You know, because we got to all that enjoyment. And God, I wish I can tell everybody how much fun this can be, you know.
When you get a good horse, your whole life starts revolving around that horse. The next start he's going to have, you plan your schedule about it. Birthdays and anniversaries go out the window. You're going to be where that horse is.
You know, I think it's because we've got a living animal here that tries their guts out for you, for us. Yeah. You know, they're that's what they're wanting to do, is please us. That's what horses do, is they please you. And if you had a race car, well, it goes in the garage and it has no feeling, you know, on that. But this horse, where he sees you coming down the shed row and his eyes open up, and so it's like having a kid that's going to play on the NFL team, you know. And so it's so exciting for all this. So to join, everybody ought to think about joining the thoroughbred racing teams. All the way through and through, and be part of this big family of, gosh, I don't know how many people are in the thoroughbred industry, but there's a lot. Because it is a big family, like you said. It's one big family. We're competitors. But but we do jump up and down for one another. If when you sell a horse or you race a horse and it wins, all your competitors congratulate you immediately.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, you get calls, you get texts, you
yeah,
get, and it makes you feel
yeah,
so good,
yeah.
so good. You know, that there. So,
Yeah.
anyway, I just I wanted to have you on here, and I'd like to have you on again with all your brothers.
Yeah.
we
I
want
really
them
do.
all.
Because I think we
And
can
Marshall.
swap.
Yeah,
Marshall's our guy.
Yeah.
On that.
We adopted
We hit
him
it
now.
off, you know. And I'm sure he can think a lot about stable recovery
Yeah.
and be a big part of helping out
Yeah.
all those others as well too. He talks about it often. And I'd like to have you all together because I think that we've got a lot of great stories that we can share
Yeah, it'd be great.
with
A lot
all
of tailors.
viewers.
I don't know if we can handle them all.
We
in
can
one
fit 'em
cabin.
all in
We
there.
can get it. We'll do a round table.
Yeah.
On that, you can fight, you can argue, you can say you're full of baloney, you know. But that's what we're trying to bring across, and I thank you for coming on and helping us bring this message across to our new viewers, maybe new people in the industry that would like to come in and buy horses, and hopefully they come in the right way and they ask the right people to help them and to steer them in the right direction that way, and find somebody like you or Randy to direct them to giving them their success stories like you have.
You know, this is such a great sport. Call it more of a sport than a business, but you know, like.
But you know, it's both.
Yeah, it's both.
It's both.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of money involved in it as well.
It's
Yeah.
a sport and a business, but you know, it's not very few people can go buy an NFL team or buy an NBA team or this, but you can come in, and even if you don't have a ton of money, you could join with other people
And have your
own a
team.
small and have a small piece, and you're part of that team. You know,
Yeah,
you're,
sports team.
and it lets you compete. It's action, and these horse sales are just like drafts for the NBA, NFL, whatever. Everybody shows up, but then you're bidding your money that day.
Yeah, for the
And,
number one draft, or number two, number five, and then who knows how it comes out.
Yeah,
That the number 10 becomes the Tom Brady.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, of it.
You never know. I mean, I've sold horses for millions that couldn't outrun me, and I sold a horse one time for $1,000 and made over $1 million.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
So
Right.
you never know where they come
You
from.
just
No.
never know, and
We have a $40,000 horse heading to the Kentucky Derby.
there you
And
go.
we're proud. You
Y'all
know?
bought him too cheap.
We did.
Yeah.
We did. The breeders were in the winner's circle there,
Oh,
waiting for
good.
us and congratulating us there. And we met them, and it's a nice story too, because I believe that the season to the horse was auctioned off in a charity.
Yeah, yeah.
And a little family
There you
bought
go.
it.
There you go,
And-
charity coming around.
Yep.
Yeah.
And bought it and at the horse, and now they have a horse that they feel part of
Yeah.
that is moving up the ranks, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's kind of fun.
You just never know how things like
No.
there's not the horse that you would say, oh, that's the one that's going to be the
Yep.
greatest one, but he's the
No.
best one in this crop so
Yeah.
far, and that goes back. There you go. You can get. I love this saying. You can get anything in life you want if you help enough other people get what they want,
Yes.
and that's one of my favorite sayings.
Yeah.
So there's the Allball family being charitable,
Yes.
giving a season away,
Yeah.
right?
And making
And,
this-
and then this horse comes along that's a bit of a long shot in the crop to do it, and it's driving their 25 shares in the horse way up. You know,
Yeah.
so it's
it's these people from Iowa.
Yeah.
And he's an Iowa bred, and they flew down to watch the Tampa Bay
Yeah.
Derby.
That's
pretty
awesome.
good, isn't
Yeah.
it?
yeah.
Yeah, and had a great time, I'm sure, and saw us have a great time. There, so-
I got one more good story.
Yeah,
about,
we can have a million of them, man.
So
You know, they're so good that these people will never stop this and shut off this channel. I can tell you that.
So the Dennis Allbaugh and Jason Luce and that family, they do a lot of business with us, and they've had a lot of great horses, and they're just great people. And so they never really sold horses. They all raced them, all the ones we were breeding, but they had this really good unbridled song, and you know, they came by and we were talking about it. I said, man, you ought to consider selling this horse. And they said, what do you think it'd bring? I said, well, I think it'd bring 800,000 or more. And they go, well, 800,000, put it in the sale. And so we put it in the sale, and this is like March. You know, you normally set the reserve the night before the sale. This is in March, and the sale's in September, right? So he said, not one penny less than 8. So we put the reserve in, and we got it sold, and Vinny Viola bought it for $800,000. So we were all high-fiving.
I know who it is.
And then the horse won the Breeders' Cup, and they syndicated for like $12 million. So
that was
that was Leo's map.
I figured that one out.
Then when they came back, and the next little brother there, they came. I said, "Man, he might bring $2 million." They go, "Not this time." That's how he got his name. Yeah,
That's
Really?
great. Yep.
yeah, but they're the all
And
boss,
what a
they're
sire you
great.
have.
Yeah, an amazing
What a sire
sire.
you have.
Yeah.
You know, he's pretty.
Well, y'all got a couple good
We
ones
do.
coming
We
up here.
do. We
Huh?
do. You know,
We try to get all we can, but they're hard to buy. They
Uh-huh.
bring lots of money.
we maybe look a little bit dumb, but we kind of follow that wagon pretty close. So we bought several of them,
Uh-huh.
and you know, and so we do have 2 great ones to offer
Yeah.
for sale here at this
I
sale.
saw them. They're
Yeah.
absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
We got a really nice one for April too.
Good.
Yeah,
really
we do.
beautiful colt.
The one out of Pammy Whammy, that was my favorite horse at Saratoga.
Yeah, he
Oh my
was
God,
our
he's
pick of the
special.
bunch.
He's
so.
special.
They didn't give him away, but
No.
it was nice.
You know, I mean, everybody thought he was special.
Mhm.
That's why he was that
Yeah.
expensive. I mean,
Yeah.
he definitely was something that was a specimen, you know. And he's bred the way we looked for them to be bred.
Yeah.
You know, tactical speed, the distance, everything is there in the pedigree.
Yeah.
You know, he's got, I think it's 3 or 4 times Northern Dancer in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, the greatest horses in the world.
Yeah.
That has produced everything we get to live for today.
Yeah.
So it's and when we saw that, and then of course he's a specimen in his physical. This guy right here sitting next to me said there was 2 good ones. There was really 2 good ones there, and he said, "No, this is the one we want. This is the one we want." And so bidding away, and we were done. 700,000, done. One more time, him and Rich. One more time.
Rich is a bad influence.
And we didn't get him. One more. I said, "You said one more time 3 times." So we finally got him, and I said, "I wish it wasn't taken," but I said that ought to be this horse's name. One more time. But you know, that's what you have to do to reach for the great ones. You know,
Yeah.
there, and God willing, he will be a great one for
Yeah.
somebody, and
He's done everything right so far up to this point, so
Yeah.
we can't ask for anything more.
and now no more time. Not this time. I just have a good feeling, Frank.
I do
I
too.
do. I really do, and I'm not embarrassed to say. I mean, my trainer says we're going to win.
I like the confidence.
So that's what it's going to be. Anyway, we'll wrap us up. I'm sure you've got a long drive back to Kentucky. Wish you'd
Yeah.
stay with us for a little gala we're having here tomorrow night.
I wish I could stay, but I
he's
got to
got-
get going.
That's a better
Yeah.
gala that you're
Yeah,
going to get
yeah.
there. And so if you like what you see, make sure you like us on Instagram and join with us and subscribe to us on YouTube. And we'll have more to show you with Leading the Way. I'd like to take a moment and thank today's sponsor, Haggard Pharmacy. If your horse is struggling from ulcers from time to time, they've got some good news for you. Reline GI by Haggard has a new and improved formula, and scientific studies show that it definitely improves gut health. So what's new about Reline GI? It's made with a new beta-glucan that stimulates the immune system to work on targeted areas of horse's stomach. Plus, there's also a new price that can save you nearly $100 a gallon. Visit resolveit.com, resolvet.com, to learn more about the new Reline GI. A link will be in the description of this video.